final night of the regular season. Who's in and who's out?
Yeah, Ken, we have two of the foremost experts in that area with us tonight. Our WCPO.com high school insider Mike Dyer and playoff projection expert Steve Shuck.
All right, let's begin with Colerain. The Cardinals won tonight big, 48-20. They won just as they won in their season opener against Warren Central. Steve, let's start with you. Where in your mind will the Cardinals be seated when the pairings come out this weekend?
Well, Ken, they've been seeded number one for a long time. They're so far ahead of anybody else that it's just a wide margin. So they will be the number one seed in this region.
And after Colerain, where do you see the rest of this region going? Let's say the next 2 or 3 seeds.
Well, probably the next. Lebanon and Mason will be 2 and 3, I believe, and then it's a real battle for 4th, and it's a battle that we can't answer because there's a lot of Saturday games that affect both Elder and St. X. So they're in the battle with Fairfield. I would give the edge to Fairfield for the home spot right now at 4, and Elder and X at 5 and 6.
Got you.
All right, Steve. St. X, as you mentioned, is now 5 and 5 after a 28-3 win over Louisville St. Xavier tonight. The Bombers' 5 and 5 record would suggest they might have a tough time getting into the playoffs, but I know we talked about it before. You said that you feel like they're in with that win tonight. They also beat Elder, Mentor, and Cathedral. Mike, where do you see St. X going forward? Are the Bombers in or out?
They're in, Keenan. They're making the playoffs for the 8th consecutive year, which is the longest active streak of any Division I school. Looks like they're going to open at Fairfield, possibly. Like Steve mentioned, we're going to wait to see what the Saturday results are. But very interesting time. Bombers had arguably the toughest schedule in the entire country this season.
Wow. I want to talk about this Fairfield team because when the talk comes to the Greater Miami Conference, it sometimes gets lost in the Colerain talk.
Right. Everybody
Immediately wants to go to Colerain. But, Steve, this is for you. Fairfield won 5 of its last 7. They beat a good Sycamore team in the process. Fairfield is in. And where do you see the Indians in their initial seeding and whom they may face in this first round?
Well, I believe they're going to be at the 4 spot. They could be bumped by either Elder or X if those Saturday games go a little different way than I expect them to. But obviously, those other 2 teams would be 5 and 6 if Fairfield is 4 and 5 travels to 4. So they are likely to host either X or Elder.
Got you. So again, let's go right down what we know about Division I right now. We know Colerain is on top. Can we have the rest of the seedings as far as you can see it? Mason, Lebanon, and then whom?
Well, Lebanon, I believe, is 2, then Mason, and we think then Fairfield, and then the 5, 6, the St. X Elders. And it appears that number 7 is Sycamore with their win tonight, and number 8 is Springboro. They get the task of going to Colerain.
Yeah, and just to touch on very briefly the other divisions, did anybody tonight help themselves or hurt themselves in the results of tonight's games?
Well, I think Division II stayed pretty much like it was. The top 7 have been listed that way for a long time. What appears to be, and let me say this is by a fraction. It looks like Princeton may have slipped into the 8th spot by a fraction.
Wow.
But you guys, there's only one game out there where a score could be turned in wrong. That's about a half a point's worth, and that's enough to turn things around. So we're hoping everything's reported properly tonight.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Mike Dyer and Steve Shuck, they know what's going on.